Number one, I think that it should be written into the IEP anytime your child does remove themselves from the school campus, you should be notified immediately. If that's not written into the IEP already, I would recommend doing so because it's a huge safety concern. And of course, just parent to parent, I would want to know. And then there's a number of questions that should be answered, right? Like, why is your child trying to leave the campus? Like, what's causing that? What's triggering that? How did they get from A to B? How is it possible that your child was able to get out of the out of the school? Um, so depending on that conversation, there are a number of things that could be put into the IEP. Oftentimes for students who unfortunately have a habit of attempting to leave campus or have successfully left campus, then we add a safety plan to the IEP. So it's clear, however many staff or whoever, is designated uh, based on the discussion has, radios so they can immediately, everyone's communicating with one another, that the office knows what to look for and who to look for. All of the campus security or anyone who's out roaming the campus when kids are supposed to be in class know exactly who the child is and to be aware and to look for that child because they have a history or a tendency, right, to try to elope. That, depending on how the school is situated and set up, what physical things can change as far as can we add, gates or locks or heavier doors, or what can we change physically to the structure of the school so that it can be more safe for that student. And you'd be surprised at how many schools don't meet many safety regulations and protocols. And you can even ask, firefighters to come out and look at. I've had a client who's done this because she adopted a little boy and he just has a propensity even at home to try to flee and run out to streets. And so they came out to tell the school what they can and can't do as far as how to keep him as safe as possible and as well as keeping the rest of the students safe. Um, anyway, I kind of went on a tangent, but those are things parents can ask for. And then based on those recommendations, those things can be added to the IEP. Anything that needs to have needs to be in place structurally to keep your child safe, that meets those safety regulations like codes, have that written into an IEP because at some point your child is going to change schools, right? They're going to matriculate unless they're in a K through 12 setting, which is very rare. So you want to make sure all future schools have those things set in place as well for your child. And if the district is sending your child to a school and those things aren't in place, then that could trigger a discussion to go to a different site, right? Because what's of the utmost priority is that safety. Obviously, if it's a behavioral thing and they're walking out of school because I don't know, I'm just going to make something up like they don't like how the teacher's tone is and they don't like how the teacher speaks to them, then have a discussion about that and write that into the IEP, maybe having a positive tone, making sure you're getting at eye level when you're speaking to your child, using declarative language. I mean, there's so many examples of what could be causing it, but anything that you find is leading to that should be clarified and written into the IEP. And anything that you find needs to be done reactively, like again, maybe it's a child who is minimally speaking and has a lot of those sensory seeking behaviors. And it's not just limited to school, it's happening in the community, it's happening at home where parents have to have alarms and locks and things and that like that. Whatever can be done on that site, again, make sure it's written into the IEP, even if it's structural changes, so that those can be that those can follow the student, and definitely that safety plan if it's to that point. The other thing that parents should be aware of that's really scary is in my experience, and if you find districts that do otherwise, I'd love to know. Once a student is outside of the campus and let's say they continue to walk down the street or whatever, um, they can't go hands-on with that student. I mean, unless they're jumping in front of a car, maybe they're going to jump out of, to try to pull the student away, or safely, try to walk them back to school if they're able to catch up to them, but they can't run after them. My understanding, in my experience, is they have to call 911 and then a school resource officer or an officer available will come out and try to accompany the student back to the school site if they're not successfully able to get the student back without having to chase them and go hands-on with the students. So that can be really scary, and a lot of parents aren't aware of that because anything can happen once they're out of school bounds, right? So, and who knows how long it would take the officer to get there. Making sure that it's written into the IEP as well as far as what is the plan once my child is outside of the school bounds, like how do you react to that, and what is the protocol to get them safely back inside of campus?